The night was quiet, the kind of stillness that only comes when a busy city finally exhales after a long day. The restaurant was closing, chairs stacked on tables, lights dimmed to a soft glow. John Kennedy, the owner, had stayed late as he often did, walking the empty dining room, making sure everything was in order before heading home. That's when he noticed Kira, a frail woman standing just outside the glass doors, her eyes lowered, her hands nervously fidgeting with the strap of a worn-out bag. She hesitated before knocking softly, almost afraid to be heard. When John opened the door, she looked up, and he could see the exhaustion etched into her face. "I'm sorry to bother you," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I don't want money. I was just wondering, a broken bar, if you have any leftover food. Anything at all." Her words pierced through John like a blade. This wasn't the first time someone had asked for help outside his restaurant, but something about her tone, quiet, desperate, yet proud, stopped him cold. She wasn't begging, she was asking with dignity, as if this request itself was a burden. John nodded silently, his throat tight, and led her inside. He went to the kitchen and packed what was left from the day: bread, soup, some pasta, and a few slices of pie. He placed it in a bag and handed it to her. Her eyes welled up, and she whispered, "Thank you." "God bless you." She turned to leave, clutching the food to her chest as though it were a treasure. But something stirred inside John. He couldn't let it go. Who was she? Where was she going with this food? Without overthinking, he grabbed his coat and followed her quietly down the street. She walked for nearly 20 minutes, weaving through dimly lit alleys and broken sidewalks, until she reached an abandoned warehouse at the edge of town. The door creaked as she pushed it open, and John stood back, hidden in the shadows. Inside, he saw a faint glow of candlelight flickering through the cracks. What he discovered made his chest ache. On the cold cement floor, a little boy no older than 7 sat curled up in a thin blanket. The moment she stepped inside, his face lit up. "Mama, you got food?" he asked eagerly, his voice small but full of hope. The woman knelt beside him, unpacking the bag carefully. She handed him the bread first, smiling as though it were a feast fit for kings. "See, tonight we'll eat like a family again," she said softly, brushing his hair back. John's eyes stung as he realized, this woman wasn't just hungry herself, as she was fighting to keep her child alive, shielding him from despair even while her own world was falling apart. John could have walked away, left them in their fragile cocoon of survival, but he didn't. He stepped forward, his voice breaking the silence. "Ma'am," he said gently, "I couldn't help but follow you. Please don't be afraid. I just a broken bar. I had to see if you were safe." The woman froze, startled. She looked at him with a mix of fear and shame. "We're fine," she insisted quickly, her pride rising like a shield. "We don't need pity. We just need to make it through another day." John shook his head, his voice steady but warm. "This isn't pity. This is a broken bar humanity. No mother should have to feed her child on leftovers in a warehouse." Her defenses crumbled then. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she whispered, "I lost my job months ago. We couldn't pay rent. Shelters are full. And I didn't want my boy growing up on the streets. This place is a broken bar. It's all we have." John's chest tightened. He crouched down, meeting the boy's eyes. "What's your name, son?" "Ethan," the child said softly, holding a piece of bread like it was gold. "Well, Ethan," John smiled gently, "how about we get you somewhere warmer than this?" The mother shook her head, panic flashing in her eyes. "Noah, please. We don't need charity. I can work. I just need a chance." John placed a hand over his heart. "Then let me give you that chance." The following morning, he brought them to his restaurant. He introduced the woman, whose name was Sarah, to his staff and offered her a job washing dishes to start. She resisted at first, her pride tugging against her desperation, But the moment Ethan sat at a table with a full plate of food, her resistance melted into gratitude. Weeks turned into months. Sarah worked harder than anyone else, showing up early and staying late. She proved herself dependable, kind, and resilient. Slowly, she saved enough to rent a small apartment. Ethan enrolled in school, his laughter filling the air whenever he came running into the restaurant after class. John didn't just give them food, he gave them dignity, opportunity, and hope. And in return, they gave him something he hadn't realized he was missing. A reminder of why he opened his restaurant in the first place, not just to serve meals, but to serve people. One evening, long after closing, Sarah approached John. Her eyes shone not with tears of desperation this time, but with gratitude. "You didn't just save us," she said softly. "You reminded me that kindness still exists in this world. You reminded me that we matter." John smiled, his heart full. "You always mattered, Sarah. Sometimes life just needs someone to believe it with you." And as Ethan's laughter echoed through the restaurant once more, John realized that the simple request for leftover food had changed everything, and not just for Sarah and her son, but for him too. Because sometimes, the smallest knock at the door can open the biggest door in your heart.